Welcome to the winter event where the theme is love. My name is Betty Lim Silvernail, and today we will be coloring the Heartfelt Wishes stamp featuring Zach and Annie. This stamp is perfect for weddings, anniversaries, and engagements. It also comes with a second sentiment, congratulations. After coloring the stamp, we will put the card together using the pattern paper, and we'll be using a stencil with some glimmery texture paste. Let's get started. Here's the stamp we'll be coloring, and we're going to be using a series of pinks and grays, and it'll be, I think it's more of a wedding card for me. I have a friend that's getting married this year, so this is going to be her wedding card. Okay, I've put the Copic colors down here for Annie. We're going to start with Annie, and then I'll put the colors down for Zach. But first, what we're going to do is color the outside part of the heart in pink, so that when I color the hair, it doesn't smear into the heart when I use pink. And I've done that before, where I color the hair first and then use a lighter color, and then it smears. So what I'm going to use is RV21. We have pinks in RV55 and RV21, but I'm just going to use this lighter one and just color the background pink. What I want to achieve is just, if they're taking a photograph, there wouldn't be any shadows back there or anything like that. So just coloring the heart pink. So I just have to be careful not to color the pink into his face. And just going to lightly put RV. We'll have to put a couple coats, but nothing shocking pink, just a pastel. Pinks are always the hardest color for me to come up with a color combo, because I don't have all of the Copics, but I do have quite a bit now, maybe 75%. So I try to just come up with simple pink color combos. I hope you are all enjoying your winter. This is a fun winter event. Lots of stamps, lots of videos, coloring tutorials. Just a fun weekend of coloring. I know if you're like me, I'm not a fast colorist, but I might not be able to color all 10 this weekend, but you've got all winter long to color. If your weather is like my weather, it's been raining, stormy. Well, if you live in the United States, I think, in the northern part, cold, winter, rainy, floods, power outages. I live in Northern California, so we've had power outages. I've had it twice now, but I was lucky they're only down for about an hour. My cousin had her power out for 3 days because a tree fell on the power line, and it was happening all over Northern California. And our power company in the Sacramento area, it had a lot of work to do. So they had to wait because there's only so many trucks with the crane that can actually use the crane and pick up the tree off the power line. So in the meantime, they turned all the power off for safety reasons, and it actually was knocked out anyway. And she had no power for about 3 days. I don't know what I'd do with no power for 3 days. It was bad enough just to be down for 2 or 3 hours in the evening. We had to light candles, and luckily we have some battery operated lanterns and some pretty heavy duty flashlights. So not like I could color, but it brightened up the room where I can actually see where I'm walking and not stumble over my dog or anything. So yeah, we've had some pretty bad weather. As we speak, the sun is coming out after a huge downpour this morning. We had probably like an inch of rain within like 15 minutes. So it was pretty bad. Okay, so I'm just coloring this pink, and nothing fancy, it's just the background. So just a couple layers, and that is all you have to do with the RB21. Okay, if I missed a spot, we'll come back and color it. Oh, there is one more spot. There's another spot that's pink right behind her bouquet here. There. Okay, let's start with her skin. She's going to have a little bit darker skin than Zap. 4-color blend, E15, 13, 11, and 00. Because I have 2 heads to color, I'm going to try to move a little bit faster than I normally do. But I should still be able to keep up because I'm not a fast colorist. Going around the hairline, and he's got his ear over her face, so I'm just gonna go around his ear there and just bring it down her cheek here. I know it's probably summer for some of you, like in Australia and everywhere else, but here it's winter, cold. So these stamps are just perfect for winter and staying inside and coloring and crafting. Okay, I'll bring this all the way around her chin, and I'll put a little shadow behind her nose. E11 is my main color. Okay. So today I did not draw the circle around her eyes, so I'm going to be very careful and go around and not get into her white of her eyes. Okay, so this is the first for me, so just had to remember not to color all the way up to her eyes. Oh, I can't get it too round either. Okay, so let's go around her nose. I'm going to leave a highlight on her forehead. Round that out a little bit. Okay, my last color is E00. I'm just going to smooth it out. Okay, and I'm going to put another coat, but I'm starting with E13. And we lost the eyelid here. I'll add it back in, and her nose, and a shadow around her chin. Okay. E11, being careful again. Just going to bring down the color. And my last color, E00. Just touching it up. Smooth face. Okay. Now we'll do her neck, chest, shoulders, and arms. Very small spaces, so try to use the tip of your pen to create your shadow. And the dress caused a little shadow there. And her arm here, I'm just gonna dot it. Okay. Try to get all 4 colors in, but if you can't, at least get the first 3 colors. E11. On there. Okay. And E00. Just blend it out. We do want a little highlight on her chest there. Okay. Go this way and blend it a little bit. Okay. Let's put some cheek colors on. And I'm going to use R32 for her cheeks. Let's get her cheeks a little bit brighter than normal because she is getting married. She probably has some makeup on. And just flick up and just try to get even on both sides. Okay. And I'll come back with my E11 and just smooth the edges out a little bit. Okay. Oop, a little bit over. That's okay. Her hair will cover that little spot I did. Okay, let's color her tongue. R22, R20. Oop, not R32, R22. And R20. Leaving a highlight at the top of her tongue. Okay. Now, her dress, we're going to move to the dress. Her dress is white. Or to achieve white, you do want to use your grays. So let me find my grays. Okay, I'm using N3, N1, and the blender. If you don't have the N's, you can use your C's or your T's. Okay. So it'd be N3. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do the white and then I'll go back and do the hair, okay? Because I don't want to smear her hair on her dress. So let me, I know that's a little bit out of order, but I'm going to add a little bit of shadow on the pleats here and underneath this part of her dress. And the bouquet is causing a little shadow there. Okay, just a little bit. You don't want her dress to look like it's gray, but you want it to show more like it's white. And then I'm going to put a little bit behind the heart. And then we'll blend it out with the blender. And I see there's a little bit of color here that I'll erase, I guess. Okay, so now her dress looks like it's white, but has a little bit of shadow. Okay. Okay, now we can do the hair, because I don't have to worry about the white. Okay. Her hair is E59, 57, 55, and 53. Alright, darkest, I'm going to start with the darkest color. Okay, so go with the flow of the hair. She's got, I'm going to do the top of her hair first and then do the bottom after. Okay, so let's go and let's do a little shadow work first. Add a little shadow here because it's overlapping where her part is, and then he's causing a shadow, and there's a barrette right here, and then there's pieces of hair that are falling on top. So let's create a little shadow here. This one's falling on top as well. And then to me, this looks like this piece is falling on top of that bottom piece, or her bangs are. And then in this little tiny area here, and then we'll come back and do the bottom part. And then there's this piece here that's falling in front of that one. Okay, so those are your darkest shadows. And then now we can put in our hair. Okay. I'm going to do some flicking. Keep it light in the beginning. We can add more later if we need to. Or let me, I guess I can add that shadow here now, just because I'm here. There's a bend here, so I'm going to bring the hair down here and then flick up from here. Okay. And then let's go back on this side, same thing. Okay. Next color, E57. I'm going to go over the strands that I put in, plus add some more. There's that shadow. You can make your strands as long as you want, and you can make your highlight as big as you want. Let's go on this side. E55, your mid-tone. Bring it closer to your highlight. And it's almost dry. I might have to add more ink next time I use it. Okay. I missed that little spot there, so let me go back to E57 here. Add a little bit, just tiny bit here. Okay. side. Not much room here, so be careful not to close it in yet. Okay, add a little bit more here. You can adjust as you go, okay? And sometimes you have to let it dry too. And then we have E53. I don't have a little label on that one. You can leave some white if you like for more shine, or you can color it all the way in. I'll leave a little bit of white. And then I'll see if I like it or not. Sometimes I don't like it and I come back and fill it in, but I'll leave some today. Okay. Then let's do the hair below. The same thing, you gotta map out some of the shadows. So the bouquet is causing, and then his face, just a little bit. And then the strand here is causing shadow here. And I'm going to use the second color to create the shadow underneath her chin. This one's just a little bit too dark for me. And I believe that's part of her hair, so this is going to go there. Okay. E57. Here's what I want to create. Shadow. Shadow goes around the body as well. And then your E55. And this pen is a little dry. I'm going to make it work. See underneath her arms here, it's her hair would be showing. I'm just going to use the E55, color that in. Okay. That's too small of a spot to have any highlight or anything. The E53. Okay, so kind of take a look at how you like your hair. If you want to add any more color to it, you can. Okay, I think I'm going to be done with that. I'm going to leave her barrette for later because it's going to be pink. So I will color that when I have my pinks out. Okay, let's get this cleaned up a little bit. I don't want to add too much ink. I can see that it's too much now. Okay. Now let's color her the pinks. Okay, so we've got the bouquet and the little heart on her dress and her barrette. So we've got RV55, 23, and 21 for the bouquet. I'm going to go ahead and use the RV55. And let's start off with just coloring her barrette right here. And then her heart. It's just so small to put any highlights or shadows on there. We can use a white gel pen if you want to. Okay, for her bouquet, the inside of these flowers will be darker, so make it easy on yourself and just put little dots inside. You're not going to be able to color each petal. Okay, so just dot that, and then maybe some shadows for the little wrapping on the outside. And then her ribbon, usually there's a fold there. And keep it simple. Okay, RV23. Add a little bit of color on the rose. These flowers. Leave some white for your next color. And then it'll look like a bouquet. Extend these. Okay. And then use your lightest color. RV21. Just dot it. We can come back and put RV55 to make the centers darker as well. Okay, so one more time, just use your RV55. Make the centers darker. Okay, so she's done. Our little Annie is done. Let's move on to Zach. So these are Zach's colors. Okay, skin. I'm gonna get my Zach colors out. Okay, he's the skin is E04, E11, E21, E00, find that one. Okay, E000, and then his cheeks are E93, and then tongue R20 and R22. Okay, here we go. All right, so he's wearing glasses. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna color inside behind his glasses, not with the darker colors, but with the lighter skin colors. So let's start off with the darker skin colors and map out his hairline. Not a lot of area here, so use the tip of your pen. And instead of coloring the shadow on top of his glasses, because it's such a small area, I'm going to put shadow below. Just a little bit here. Then his ears. Okay. E11. Smooth that out. And I will put his, gotta be careful I didn't draw the circles. I'm gonna put some highlights on his eyelid, or the shadows on his eyelid. Okay. And then E21, I'm going to be real careful not to color inside his eyes. There. I generally draw the circle, but I didn't remember to do that this time. And this will be covered by blue ink later, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So E21 will put all the way around his chin. I still want to leave a highlight up above his forehead there. E00. Okay, I'll go around here. Before I color his glasses, I'm going to do it towards the end so that this, the face color's dry. I don't want the blue to blend. I want it to lay on top. And then I have E000. I smooth it out. Let's finish his ears. I always forget about his ears because they're so small. E21. Oops, I keep forgetting. I'm holding on to the cap again. E00. And E000. Okay, let's go back, and the only thing showing is this little neck here. It's small, so I'm going to just dot the sides so that I can fit all my colors in there. E11. E21. Might not be able to do it all. Let's see. E00. Okay, that looks pretty good. E000. Okay. So I'm gonna let the face dry, but I do want to add in his cheek colors. His cheek is not going to be bright like Annie's, but it's going to be E93, and I'm only putting the cheek colors down here. Okay, and then I'll come back and smooth it out here. And his tongue is the same as Annie's, R22 and R20. Okay, so let's let that dry, and we'll come back and do his glasses at the end. We can go ahead and move on to his hair. Okay, hair is black. So we'll be using 100, C7, C5, and C1. If you don't have C's, you can use your T's or your N's. Okay, if you don't have a 100, you can use your C9. All right. Again, I'm going to map where the shadows are. I'm going to keep it simple because there's a lot of layers, but I don't want to make it difficult for everyone. Just the main big ones that the artist drew in. That kind of shows a bigger shadow here. Okay. And here. Here. Okay, so this piece here is a little quite obvious too. So, okay, so that's where we're going to put our shadows. We can add more later if we have to, but let's start coloring the hair. Okay, now I notice that some are going this way and some will probably go up and down here where the sideburns are kind of. And then I'm trying to match it on both sides. But that's so tiny, so be careful. Watch out for her face here. Start off just a little bit so that you can add more later. The 100 is very dark, so it's hard to lighten up once you have it on here. Okay. Go with the curve here. I don't want to put too much there, but that's okay for now. Okay, let's move over on to our next color, C7. Adding extra strands and pulling down the ones I've already added. Black hair is a little bit harder to color than some of the lighter colors, but you just have to practice. Sometimes with dark black hair, I learned light to dark, and before I did dark to light. So if you're having a hard time with dark hair, try light to dark first, and then when you master that, switch over to dark to light. Or you know, just do light. There's just different ways of coloring. Okay, this side. Just a little bit on there. Let's pull this one down a little bit here. Okay, let's go with C5. I'm going to leave quite a bit of white so that it's shiny. I still have one more color. I don't want to put too much of this color down either. Although if I put too much C5, then the hair almost looks gray instead of black. And add a little bit here and there. Okay. You can adjust a little bit here and there as you're going. Cover the brown spot there. Okay. And here's your C1. You can color it all the way in, or you can leave some white. I'm going to leave some white. In certain areas where I think the light would hit. If you find some things are too dark, you can always use a white color pencil to add back in some white. Okay, if you overdo the black. Okay, so that's his hair. We're going to move on to his jacket. His jacket is white. I mean, not the shirt is white and the jacket is gray. So the shirt is N3, and then I usually go to white N3 or T3 or C3, and then 1 and 0. And it's a small area again. So let's go ahead and put some shadow underneath the bow tie. And then the shadow caused by the lapel. And there's a little bit showing up here. And then smooth it out with your N1. And your blender, 0. We want to show that it's a white shirt, not a gray shirt. Okay. Now the jacket, I'm going to use my W's. It's a warm gray. And it's W7, 5, 3, and 2. All right. So again, this is all one color jacket, and I'm going to add the shadows in first. And I think I'm going to add a little bit on the edge here, just because there's the heart here. Okay, W5. I'm going to add it on the inside. W3. Because the jacket's all one color, you want to show some separation of colors. So I don't use the dark colors on the edges of the lapel. And then your W2. If it faded a little bit, I'm going to come back and use my darkest color just to add in a little bit more of the shadow. Okay, and come back with your W5. Three. Okay, and your 2. So just make the color a little bit richer. Okay, and then the bow tie is pink, RB55, RB21, and again it's small. I'm going to put just a little bit where the there would be a little fold there, and then just add the lighter color pink on the outside. Just dot it. Okay. See, it already just faded it, so I'm going to come back and add it back in like that. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is the eyeglasses, which is B00 and B000, and then we're going to use our white gel pen for her eyes and for the glass, okay, or the glare. Okay. So how I do mine is I'm going to leave a little bit of the skin color around his glasses, and I'm going to go all the way around. So on the top part I leave it, and then I'm going to color all the way around the bottom. Okay. Just circling it. As we are coloring, there is a huge downpour outside. The sun came out and now it's a huge downpour. So strange weather we're having. Okay, B000, and try not to blend, but lay the color on top of the skin color. Okay. And I use a laser printer, so it feels a little waxy, so I have to really be careful for things not to smear. So I'm going to do it again. I don't know if you can hear my pen squeaking, but it's like a waxy feeling on the eyes. Okay. and then I'm gonna go around here. Okay, so let that dry a minute, and I will use the white Stamp Anything gel pen and color the whites of her eyes. And again, because I use a laser, it doesn't seem to soak in this pen like if you were to color it, stamp it with a regular stamp pad. Okay, so now I'm hoping that's dry enough. I'm going to create the glare on his glasses, and this is how I do mine. I just add a couple of dots and a line, couple dots, line, and I just do 4 all together. That. The same thing on this side, be consistent. Okay, and that's the glasses. I think we're okay with the coloring. If I've missed anything, we'll catch it later when we're crafting, but I think this is it. This is the coloring. And because it's a digital, and I didn't use my silhouette to cut it out, and it's very simple to use your scissors to cut it out, I will cut it out and we'll come back and put the card together. Okay, I'll be right back. Welcome to the craft portion of my video. I've cut out the stamp that we just colored, and now we're ready to do the background of our card. What I've done here is I've used a stencil and some Shimmery Goodness texture paste. It's made by the Crafters Workshop. You can use this Shimmery Goodness on its own, or you can mix it in with any other matte medium and make it shimmery. I like it by itself, even though this one is, I think it's supposed to be white, or maybe it's just a translucent, but it comes out more of a silvery white on pink paper. So that's why I liked to use this Shimmery Goodness for this card. Okay, so the stencil I'll be using is this one from Stamp Anything. It's from the Stencil Club from December 2022, so just last month. The Stencil Club, you get 3 stencils per month for $10. You can't beat that price. There's 3. One is usually kind of floral, one's usually kind of you know, stripes or triangles, or you know, kind of that kind of pattern. And then there's another one that just has usually another smaller footprint of text, the stencil. So anyway, I'm going to use this one because it's more to me for the wedding card. And I cut out a piece of just really, the only pink cardstock I had was from the Recollections brand from Michaels. It's pretty thin. I think it's only 65 pounds. So after we do the texture paste on here, I cut it out and then I glue it on another piece of cardstock to make it more firm. Okay, so let's get started with this. You know, you probably all know if you watch my videos, I just love texture paste and I love stencils. And this one was really simple. I'm not using any ink or anything. I'm just using the texture paste. So what you'll need is a spatula and some kind of scraper and some tape to tape this down. I'm not going to use my magnets because texture paste, if it gets all over it, and then I have to wash the magnets. It's easier just to tape it down to make sure it doesn't move. And what I normally do is I check to see which side lays flat is the side I usually use. Okay, I've used this a couple of times, so it's kind of curvy on one corner and then it's bulky. So what I'll have to do is pretty much tape it down. Okay? So I'm using the Stamp Anything washi tape, And I will tape this down at the stencil and the paper at the same time instead of using the magnets. Okay, tape that. And I want to make sure it's laid flat, because if you have texture paste go under, then it pretty much ruins your design. Okay. I haven't had much luck using the adhesive sprays where you can spray it on here and then re-stick it. It's just too much glue, and then I end up ripping the paper. So I'm going to just tape this down. And even the sides I will tape. It's better to be safe than sorry. You don't want your stencil to move, and you don't want it to buckle. So this is the best way to do it. Just tape it down. Next to me, I have a bucket of water. So when I'm done, I throw everything in the bucket of water. You don't want texture paste drying on your stencils or the tools that you use. So that's the easiest way. Just have a little water bucket next to you, okay? Or a sponge or some wet wipes or something to wipe it up. Okay. So this texture paste is kind of like frosting. It's really really smooth and silky. And what I don't use, I put back in the jar. Okay, so all I have to do is press down my paste to make sure it goes underneath in the stencil, but not underneath it where it oozes out, because you will scrape up the excess. And because this cardstock is thin, it does tend to buckle a little bit. So don't worry, because we're going to tape it down or glue it down on another piece of paper. Even though I might not use this whole sheet, it's an A2, I'd like to do it 6x6 in case there's spots that you like better on that, after you stencil it. Some spaces you might like better than the other. So it's better to do a larger sheet like this in case you missed a spot. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scraper, and I got this from scrapbook.com. They're like, like $1 a piece or so. And I'm going to scrape it gently. You don't have to press hard, because you don't want it oozing under. And what you don't use, you can put back in the jar. Okay. And this takes a while to dry. It's not like the Ranger texture paste where it seems to dry a lot faster, and I do not like to use a heat gun on texture paste. For one thing, it just, to me, I don't want it to melt or burn, and I don't like it to buckle the paper. So I'm going to throw everything I'm using into a bucket of water right now, so it doesn't dry up on me while I'm working. Okay. And I use just a piece of plastic to cover this so it doesn't dry out. Okay. So now you have to be careful taking your tape off and throw the tape away, because you have texture paste on it. You don't want it to get on something else. This is the fun part of making the card. I love working with stencils, because the reveal is always, gratifying to see what it looks like after you've used your texture paste. Okay, so here's where you have to be careful lifting it up. Okay, I just hold on to one side, lift one corner up, and try not to drop it. See how pretty that is? I'm dropping my stencil into a bucket of water so that I can wash it later and not worry about it now. Okay, so what we're going to do, because this takes a long time to dry, and I am making a video, I'm going to save this one, and I have one already made. Okay? But I just wanted to show you how I created the background. Okay. See how pretty that is? And when it dries, it's kind of a silvery, shimmery piece. Okay, I'm going to put that aside, let that dry, where I won't drop it. And then I can just use some my dirty towel here and just wipe everything up. Very easy to clean up. It's water-based. Okay, so now we can actually put our card together. I'll show you what I used. Okay, I have a A2 card base. It's top folding because it's landscape. Then I use another piece of white cardstock to mat it because I wanted the stitching around there. So what I use are these card mat dies from Stamp Anything. And so I use the largest one, which is the rectangle one. And then I use the pattern paper called Love is in the Air, and I use the one with the hearts. And this is the pink one. Okay, now because I made several cards using this pink heart paper, I didn't have one full sheet that I could use, but I had pieces that I could put together. So I had two pieces. You can see where I had one piece this size and another piece this size. I just tape it together on the back and join them together. And then I use the scalloped edge and cut that piece out. Okay? So don't throw your scraps away. You can use your scraps, especially with pattern paper. Nobody's going to tell that that was two pieces of paper. Okay? And then here's the one that I made previously, because that one's going to take overnight to dry because it's so cold. Right now it's wintertime. I cut it out with the smallest rectangle die, along with another white cardstock. Because this is a little bit flimsy, I'm going to glue this together to make it so that it's heavier. Okay? And then it doesn't look like this is buckling. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to use the Stamp Anything glue tube. This is actually a brand new bottle. Put some glue along the edges and some in the middle. You can be generous because you are trying to lay this flat because this is a little flimsy. If you have heavier cardstock, then you don't need to do this part of it. But my pink cardstock is just a little flimsy, so I wanted to make it lay flat instead of looking like it's wrinkled. Okay, so then all we have to do now is really assemble our card. And I'm going to put, because I like the stitching, this mat down first. And all this was cut. I have just a Big Shot. You can use whatever die cut machine you have. I used to own a Cuttlebug. I still have the Cuttlebug as well. That's my backup now. Okay. And then here's the pattern paper that goes here. And you can use whatever pattern you like, but I don't like to waste paper, so I wanted to join these two and use the pink paper. And I just taped it together with some kind of old washi tape that I had. You can use just Scotch tape if you want. Okay, put that on here. And then this one goes here. This one put a little extra glue on so it doesn't pop up. Keep it simple. We don't need to do too fancy, just do something pretty. Okay, and then we have our stamp. We also have our sentiment that goes under here. I'm going to use the Heartfelt Wishes, and you can always use congratulations, depending on the card and who you're making it for. So just kind of figure out where you want your sentiment. You can have it down below, or you can have it up above. And I'm going to have it tucked in under here. So I think I'm going to add the sentiment first. I'm going to leave it laying flat, so I'm going to glue this down. So I'm going to tuck it under here. Just have to be careful. If you want to have it sticking out, you just have to make sure that it fits in the envelope, okay? You know, the envelope size. And this one you can glue it down, or you could pop it up with the foam. I'm just going to glue it down, okay? Just for time's sake. But my previous card, my sample, I did use the foam tape. I use a little extra glue because this texture paste requires it. Just center it, put that down, and you know me, I have to have some jelly dots. So let's get some jelly dots going here. I've got the pink ones that are round, and I have the ones that are heart-shaped. So we'll do a couple heart-shaped ones, 2 heart-shaped ones, and we'll do 3 of the round ones. Okay. And if you have a jewel picker, it's easier with the little ones. And there is a flat side and a dome side, so I always get them ready. And I'm going to put them 3 on one side and then 2 on the other side. And I think the hearts also have a flat side, even though they're kind of puffy. Okay, like that. Like that. Okay, so I will pick that up and put some glue here. Annie's Stamp Anniething's glue dries clear, so whatever you put on here, it'll dry and you'll be able to see it. And give it a little time to dry before you pick your card up. You don't want them falling off. Oops. This is a sticky jewel picker. It's from Marvy. I've had it for years and years. You just clean the tip off with a piece of tape and then it'll be re-sticky again. Okay, so Heartfelt Wishes card is finished. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you give this card a try. And if you don't have texture paste, of course, you can go ahead and use ink, hybrid inks, distress ink for your stencil. And just have fun. Create your own background. Thank you for joining me today, and have a great time with all the winter events. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.